take too long. So I will begin with a brief presentation on the European Antibullying Network. I work at the Smile of the Child as a coordinator of international cooperation. So among other things, I also have the joy to coordinate the European Antibullying Network. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, in the opening, today we're celebrating 10 years of the network. That was the reason, that was the instigation for us to organize this conference today. So it all started in Athens 10 years ago. So just like we're gathered here today in a nice conference venue, in a similar venue, this is before I joined the Smile of a Child in 2015. In 2014, there was a conference. It was organized in the framework of a project that was coming to a close. And one of the deliverables of this project was to create a network. So the partners of the project who were present in Athens announced the creation of the network. This was in June 2014, excuse me. So now we're 10 years later. You can see the president a little younger in the photo, but you can also see Professor Dan Olveus, the founder of the term bullying, a very highly respected personality. Maybe you have heard of him. Many of you, I trust, have. He was present with us. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, he passed away, but he was with us at the inaugural conference, and that's him in the top right corner. So a very brief overview. As I said, it was created 10 years ago in the context of a project, and it was officially registered in Belgium in March of 2015. So the European Anti-Bullying Network has its own legal personality. It is an international non-profit association registered in Belgium. What is it? It's a network of organizations working in and across Europe to combat the phenomenon of bullying, cyberbullying, and school violence by bringing together stakeholders working both in prevention and intervention. What are the objectives of the network? First of all, as for any network, to coordinate actions on the issue of bullying, of course, in the specific network, and initiatives at the European level, and to develop partnerships across Europe. Secondly, to campaign, raise awareness, and advocate for a common European strategy against bullying in Europe, and monitor and influence policies at the national and the European levels. Third, to produce and promote the exchange of good practices, enforce capacity building, and provide tools and trainings to professionals working in the field. And fourth, to raise awareness generally among the public about the issue of bullying, and through this awareness, empower children and young people, as well as parents, teachers, on how to tackle bullying. So these are the overall goals of the network. The network today has 20 member organizations from 13 European countries. So this is a lot more than those that were in the founding, in 2014, the founding members of the network. These are the different countries. It just occurred to me that I missed one, North Macedonia. So the countries are Bosnia, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Lithuania, North Macedonia, Romania, Spain, and the UK. These are the members of the organization. Members include mainly civil society organizations, but we also are open. We have different membership categories. We're open also to state authorities, public authorities, as well as schools. So I'm happy to say that among these 20 members, we have one state authority, and you will hear in this panel on their work from Nasia, Stephanou. It's the Observatory for School Violence and Bullying of Cyprus, under the Ministry of Education. And we also have one school, Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή, a private school here in Athens, whose representatives are with us here today, and you will hear from them later on today. We also have honorary members, personalities, individuals that are well respected and distinguished in the field. And one of them was Professor Dan Olveus, who passed away. And we have Professor Peter Smith, who you will hear later on in the conference agenda from the UK. He will speak to us as well. As in most networks, members participate in the General Assembly, and they also elect the Board of Directors. You heard this morning from the President that yesterday we elected the new Board of Directors that has 7 members, and it has a Secretariat. This Secretariat is hosted by the Smile of the Child here in Greece, and that is why it is me working at the Smile who also coordinates the European Antibullying Network. Now, I'll present here briefly the actions of the network. So what has this network done in 10 years of its existence? First of all, it produces strategic documents. So strategy, proposed strategies, policies, recommendations to policymakers, stakeholders on how to prevent and tackle bullying. We have a very key document, the EAN strategy position paper. We have the European Guide of Anti-Bullying Good Practices. We have a more recent policy paper, and we also have an even more recent policy document called Support for Policy Reform, which was specifically produced in the context of a funded project, and you will hear about this project later on. So in these documents, we as a network outline what our position is and what we call for, what we ask decision makers to take into consideration. I cannot possibly mention all these recommendations now. The key points, however, are that these following elements that you see here in bullets are key considerations of policymakers and lawmakers in all countries and at the European level. These are that you need a policy framework, legislative regulations and circulars. So you need the legal institutional framework in place to tackle this phenomenon. Any policy strategies, action plans, policy decisions need to consider cultural sensitivities, specifications, particularly in multicultural settings. All policies, actions, strategies need to have a human rights education approach and consider peace values. So these go hand in hand with preventing and tackling bullying. Conflict management and peaceful resolution strategies like mediation also go hand in hand with preventing and tackling bullying. The whole school approach and the whole community approach, which you heard earlier from Dr. Psifidou, and you will hear about when you hear about the SAFER project, which was on the whole school and community approach, is key, meaning that all parties involved, all stakeholders, both in the formal educational context, but also the informal of the greater community, all need to be in tune, cooperate, coordinate in preventing and tackling bullying. Manuals and guidelines are extremely important for actors, for teachers, for parents, for students on how to address the issues. Research is very important, and any policy, strategy, action plan needs to be based on scientific research, data, information that is collected. Evaluation and follow-up is key in any policy, for any strategy. You don't just do it one time and let it go. It's constant. It's important to constantly revise it and evaluate it and update it. It is extremely important to have databases. We heard yesterday evening from our colleague in Cyprus how Cyprus, they have a lot of best practices, as we are discovering, is going to begin collecting and setting up a database of good practices in the field. Networking, so the cooperation and the partnership among all actors, and of course dissemination, both targeted and general. It's very important to constantly raise awareness and flag the issue in the broader public's mind, but also in the target groups. So strategic documents is one key action. Another action is participating in funded projects. So the European Anti-Bullying Network has participated in a few projects as a partner. The first one was the one that actually created it back in 2013, 2014. We then participated in a project, I've indicated in the parentheses, you can see the funding source, an Erasmus Plus project, which was called the Anti-Bullying Certification Project, the ABC project. Most recently, we participated in the SAFER project that you will hear about from my colleague. And right now, currently, we're participating in a big consortium with many partners from different European countries in a project also funded by the European Commission that's focusing on hate speech and digital activism to counter hate speech. So in all these projects, we participate as a network, and we're mainly called in as a network. So we're not an actor working in a specific country in the field. We are a network bringing together the members from different countries. So as a network, when we participate in projects, we mainly focus on advocacy, dissemination, communication. So as a network, how we can best showcase and disseminate what comes out of projects. Raising awareness is another key action that we have focused in through the years. We once lobbied and took very strong actions to press for institutionalizing an EU Day Against Bullying, and we succeeded in having a resolution from the European Parliament on this day. It hasn't been institutionalized, but it was a step in that direction, and we did this with the help of a Greek member of Parliament. We participated in the production of a documentary. It's called the Bullying Diaries TV documentary. It's a documentary available in 8 languages and an important tool that at Smile of the Child here in Greece we use to raise awareness in the school community, but all partners and actors are free to use this. It's an important tool to raise awareness on the issue. And we also took part in 2017 in a campaign that was, let's say, created and proposed by an advertising company in Berlin that was about targeted national and EU-wide campaigns to mobilize students, parents, and teachers in Greece and beyond under the umbrella, under the slogan of Speak Up Now on anti-bullying network issues. The network also organizes conferences with a break during the years of COVID that we didn't organize these conferences. This is a list of some of the conferences that we have held. 10 years ago, we started in Athens. We also came back in 2018 in Athens, and we're now in Athens. But we also had conferences in Brussels, in Valletta, in Malta, and in Città di Castello in Italy that our colleagues in Villa Montesca hosted, while also in 2021, in the context of COVID, we decided it was the year that Professor Oveas passed away, and we decided to organize a series of online events. It was 3 online events dedicated to his memory, and it was a very important series that included very important academics and experts who talked about different issues and aspects around bullying. And the anti-bullying certification, which my colleague Ioana mentioned just a few minutes ago, I think is I don't want to say the most important, but it's certainly a very important deliverable of the network that we're very proud to have created. And I'll just take a few words just to say a little bit about it, because later on today you will hear about it also from the first school in Greece that piloted this, and also the consulting company, the certification company with whom we did this, Mark. So what is this? This is a full-fledged management system that is available to any school, public, private, in any country across Europe where we have our members. So it's a pan-European system for schools, but also for informal educative organizations, sports associations, musical associations, cultural, etc. It's a program, a full-fledged program that does what? We have produced a standard, so a very important document. We as EAN, as European Anti-Bullying Network, together with a certification company, Eurocert, we produced a document, a standard, which outlines the entire system that a school or any informal structure needs to have in order to address incidents of bullying. As Ioana said, this does not mean that a school doesn't have incidents, or if they do this process and they get the certification, that's it, they're done with bullying. All it means is that they're well prepared and they have a system in place to quickly and effectively manage the incidents. We did this, as I said, hand in hand with a certification company. So the European Antibullying Network, pulling its expertise from the different countries, contributed scientifically to the standard, and a certification company, Eurocert, contributed in the aspect of certification, because you need a certification company to actually give you a mark. And we jointly produced this document. We announced it a couple of years ago. It's available for any school or informal structure to do it, to go through it. And we were very happy to have the first school here in Greece, in Athens, Doukas school, private school in Athens, receive the mark, the first school to receive the mark. So they addressed us, we enforced it, and we gave them the mark. This has a 3-year horizon, where annually a school is audited, let's say, and improves its processes. And this school, they will tell you more at the end of the day at the closing panel, confirmed how important this process was. And we're speaking about a school that already had a lot of actions and things in place, but they had to do even more and adjust it even more in order to meet the standard and effectively manage the incidents. So we encourage anyone who's interested in this to reach out to us. I personally, my colleagues from EAN, my colleague who will come later from Eurocert, are available to answer to questions. I can share the document, the standard document, with anyone who's interested in seeing it, because a school can first review it and judge if they're ready to go through this process or if they have to make adjustments. Thank you very much for your attention. These were the main highlights from the European Antibullying Network. And now I will call mostly